If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
If you want news and rumors that appeal, welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. I'm your host, the Innkeeper, and this is our live call and talk show all about the Wheel of Time. And we're back for a second show today. If you missed our first one, you can go check that out. But here for the next, I would say settle in for probably 2 hours because we have many guests and a lot of work by Ayoola Smart to talk about. So that's right, everyone. We're going to do another Becoming episode. We have not done one of these in a long time. I'm rusty with this. We'll get back into this vibe, if you will, for the next many, many months. I think we have Becoming Elias coming up soon. We'll do some other ones. Feel free to let us know who you'd like us to cover. And just make a note for those, those in chat, we do have a lot of new readers. And for this first portion of the show, I would say for the first 45, 50 minutes, it's going to be non-spoiler on the show and in chat. Okay. So before I introduce my guests, let's set the stage by learning a little bit more about Ayoola. Born in March of 1994 in County Cork, Ireland, Ayoola Smart, inspired by strong role models like her mother, jumped into acting as a child. It's no surprise that she recalls pretending to be sick when she was very young to attend her mother's drama course. Ayoola's passion led to acting school and graduation from East 15 in 2016. Since then, the trajectory of her talent has been clear. She has won numerous prestigious TV, film, and stage roles, such as opposite Academy Award-winning actor Ethan Hawke in Juliet Naked, and in the Emmy Award-winning television series Killing Eve. But she has never been far from the stage, starring in Romeo and Juliet, Othello, Les Miserables, and others. And most recently, you may have seen Ayoola in 2023's Cocaine Bear. Yes, a bloody, violent, gory, yet heartfelt story about a bear that does cocaine. Though Ayoola's talents move beyond those mediums into work as a voice artist in commercials, documentaries, and audiobooks, while giving back to the art community however she can. So we are not surprised Ayoola Smart won such a fan-favorite role as Aviendha in Season 2 of The Wheel of Time on Amazon Prime TV series. So, with that introduction, let's discuss Becoming Aviendha. And thankfully, to do that with me, everyone, I have probably the best, the ideal guest. Please welcome to the Dusty Wheel, Threefold Talk. How are you all doing tonight?
Amazing. Hello. Hi.
That was not planned, and that's awesome. Did you guys talk about that before? Like, we're gonna raise the spears.
No, we just know.
No, we just knew.
We always have the stabby stabs out.
We've been working together a while now. We know.
Yes. I know I don't have your names up here, but for those that are watching that don't know these wonderful people, up in my far top left, Roofmistress Leigh-a is up there. We have Melindhra up into our far right, Bain Chiad lower left, and One Shelly in our lower right. Thank you all for being here. Are you ready for this? How much excitement have you felt just watching this character who plays a role in the books that you guys care about a lot? Like, how exciting was it to get to know Ayoola Smart through her roles?
I'm not gonna lie. I was excited that Aviendha just got passed, but through this project, like all the work that we've done for this episode, I am such a fangirl. So spoilers ahead, I'm going to fangirl all out, 100% on the Ayula train. Can't wait to discuss her and can't wait to see her as Aviendha.
Well, I mean, this is part of that, right? This is kind of something unique that we like to do, which is not just look at their their picture and go, they're going to be good or bad for a role, which is kind of silly. And that was done a lot like 3 or 4 years ago when we kind of began this. And so that was kind of was the genesis of why we did these, was to get to know the actor and how well they act from our personal perspective, right, through the previous works that they've done. And again, it's kind of, I guess it's judging them on the merits as an actor, not on the perception of looking the part. I always said Grace, Bain and Chiad.
I'm Bain and Chiad tonight.
That's right, Bain and Chiad. How are you feeling about this? What do you, I guess, which role are you most excited to talk about from kind of previous things that Ayula has done?
Well, I think I'm biased, but I am excited to talk about her role in Paradise Now, which was a play live performance that I was able to go to and actually meet her afterwards. So, of course, that's the one I'm most excited to share about. But I agree with what Leigh-a said, that after having seen that was the only time I saw her perform. I wasn't really sure 100% about Aviendha, but after watching all of the things tonight for the show, I'm sold 100%. She's going to be amazing.
Okay, well, let's jump into it and start sharing why you might think that or not. Let's jump into this. I think the first one we're going to tackle, everyone. Yes, it's the one that made me laugh a little bit doing the bio. Cocaine Bear. That's right.
Yes!
Have you? If you, I just that was. I think I tweeted about this. I don't know that I could have been ready. So, Shelly, do you want to give us an idea of who Ayula plays in Cocaine Bear?
Yes. For those who have been under a, let's say, sack of cocaine that was dropped from a plane. Cocaine Bear is the story of a bear that finds said sack of cocaine, eats said cocaine, and goes on a rampage. So the movie itself is kind of aiming for a horror camp feel. And in it, Ayoola Smart plays a police officer who's kind of an assistant police officer. Major spoilers for Cocaine Bear. I don't want to wreck this cinematic masterpiece for all of you.
Yeah.
But Ayoola Smart doesn't have a huge role. And I'll be honest, kind of judging from this, and Mel and I watched this together because we needed to kind of hold hands over the internet to get through it. With what she was given, I'd say she did a pretty good job.
Okay. What is it? I mean, what stood out to you, I guess? I mean, you're right. I don't think she has like a ton of scenes here. So what, I guess, did you narrow down as far as something you took away from how she took on this role?
I mean, to her credit, I mean, let's be honest, Cocaine Bear is not a great movie. The script was not great.
I mean, I loved it.
I loved it. But I loved it the way I love The Room or Face Off. Didn't love it the way I love like Shawshank Redemption.
Yes,
Face
a lot
Off.
of sense.
Okay, fair.
The shade. I thought this was going to be our Christmas movie for all time. You and me together. Gonna watch Cocaine Bear is like our
This
new
is true.
tradition.
Melindhra and I came up with a song halfway through called Cocaine Berry that you can sing to the tune of Santa Baby. It was a masterpiece that we're just not going to replicate for you now.
That is.
It was
amazing.
really great. You had to be there.
It was such a good scene.
I believe
But
it.
yeah, so I mean, it's a small part in kind of a movie without a coherent plot or narrative or script, but she did have a presence, right? So in the movie, like, she does stand out. She has a presence. You can definitely kind of, there's an element of gravitas to her that I think would play well for a wise one, even given what she's kind of set aside to do. And she does manage to do some humor in the movie, which I think Aviendha is a very funny character, even unintentionally. So we do need someone who can do that kind of dry humor. And I think, given what she had in that, I do have some hope to that she'll be able to translate what she was able to do with that role and bring it forward into the Wheel of Time.
For sure. Yeah, I like that you brought up kind of gravitas and presence. Was there something about how Ayula the actor, like did you notice how that came to be? Like, okay, she had a presence. Was there something about what she did to establish that?
So I
That's
can
hard
take
to-
this one.
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
Go ahead.
I thought like the caretaking that she gives to her partner, boss partner, but also the fact that she's willing to stand up to the powers to be and just say, no, I'm not willing to do this. I'm going to step back again, trying not to get too spoilery. It's going to keep it super vague, but she does throughout the movie. It's those two things that she is very confident in who she is. She's very compassionate, caring, but then she knows where her boundaries are and she emotes those.
Yeah, it seems like, and this is something, I mean, this is her most recent work, one of the, you know what I mean? So, I mean, since she got out of, I think, acting school in 2016, she's been acting since she was a child. She definitely seems at ease in scenes. And so I think she was able to take whatever script she was given. I think I saw a comment in chat that this is the kind of movie you want fewer lines and the better. So I was like, yeah, that's true. And so I guess ease helps to kind of establish presence. Like it,
I
when
think
someone's at ease, they belong. Yeah, go ahead, Melindhra.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there's a casualness about the way she presents herself on screen. She's very comfortable. She's not doing the thing that some actors do where they're like, I am acting. She's just there and present, and there's like a chillness about her. She evokes a sense of calm. And even when she's in a scene that's like highly dramatic, she just has this stillness in the way that she holds herself and in the way that she holds her face that that draws you in to what she's doing.
Okay, yeah, I like that a lot. So, other comments before we move on from Cocaine Bear? Bain and Chiad, do you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I agree with Melindhra totally. The word anchor comes to mind. I feel like she anchors the scenes, and part of it is she's just very striking, like looking. So it's hard to kind of keep your eyes off of her when she's on screen. But she does have that calming presence. And I suspect that some of her scenes were cut from that movie because there's kind of an abrupt change that we learn about later on. And I feel like we missed something. So I'd be really curious to watch those deleted scenes. But like everyone's saying, the scenes that she was in, she had that presence and that gravitas. And I think she did the best she could with what she was given in that movie.
Yeah.
I will say, of all the things that we watched as, I don't want to say homework, but homework for this was Cocaine Bear was the least representative of her acting skills.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I want to end this poll that we had up. What are you looking forward to most about Ayula as Aviendha? No book spoilers in chat. Please, everyone, keep to that. It looks like it's a mix. It's a mix. You have acting chops, fighting ability, facial expressions, hand talk. But acting chops is what people won that poll, if you will, and it's, I guess, not a surprise that people are kind of like they want her to act. I mean, they good actors, right? And that's one thing that stood out, I think, for the show itself, is I think the acting has been really good. So whether or not you like the lines they were given or you like the plotting of it, the acting, I think, has been spot on, generally speaking. I love this one. Thank you, Kevin. Cocaine Bear Brother. That's right. Cocaine Bear Brother is
no.
Okay,
I'm also enjoying Cocaine Grom. I would watch that Wheel of Time sequel.
That's the sequel. That's what we want.
Right?
Okay.
Wow.
I like that. So hopefully everyone out there is getting the picture here. We're going to try to go through some of these works. We will provide some links in the description of this video afterwards where you can go see some of these. There's some direct links. Some of these are on the paid TV apps like Peacock and Hulu and such. But we'll put the links in if you want to go check these out. Do we want to do an informal poll here? How many of you believe people should leave tonight and go watch Cocaine Bear to get a better idea? Wow, that's a ringing endorsement.
You know what? I would say watch it. I would say watch it with a group of friends. whatever your substance of choice is, and that
Yeah.
it makes it quite the experience, I have to
You-
say.
Yeah, watching Cocaine Bear, it reminded me of watching Magic Mike with my friends and just like going for the whole reason of just like having a ridiculous time, like going in knowing the movie's going to be utterly ridiculous and then having a great time with the people that you're with. I mean,
That's
Nice.
a great analogy.
yeah.
So there you go, everyone. We'll try to do that after we talk about each one of these. But Cocaine Bear was our first one. Next up, yeah, we're going to talk about Paradise Now. Who wants to give us an explanation of that? I think Bain Chiad, do you want to kind of talk us through what Paradise Now is about and the role that Ayula plays?
Yeah, so this was a play that was actually debuting in London for the first time. And it's about a group of women that get kind of pulled into a pyramid scheme selling some essential oils. And Ayula played a woman in her mid-20s who got pulled into this and was selling the oils. And she was in a relationship with someone, and that the play sort of focuses on the relationship and how her partner reacts to this business and all of her friends that she's made, and kind of this group of women that become just sort of zealots in a way following this company. And so her partner kind of functions as like the straight man of like, what is going on here? And then their relationship is affected by Ayula's not Ayula. The character's name is Carla. Carla's involvement in the business.
And was this, remind me, Paradise Now was the one that was on stage? Is that,
Yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious, you've seen the TV, you've seen film, stage. Was stage any different for you when you experienced kind of Ayula bringing this character to life?
Yes, I actually preferred her performances on the screen to her performances on the stage. I think a lot of her strength is in her subtlety of her facial expression, and you can't see that as much on stage. She did still have that presence, though, that kind of striking presence. She's tall, she's gorgeous. It's hard to not notice her. And she had some funny moments with some physicality, some dancing. She had a moment where she got very angry and started threatening people, which was kind of amusing to see. And those were great. But, her performance didn't leave me feeling super excited about Aviendha. But then, as I said, after watching some of the stuff of her on the screen, I feel like that's her strength there.
Yeah, you bring that up, and that's a really interesting observation, and I wonder how much we'll get when they showed us that little clip at JordanCon, that kind of all of them introducing themselves and the way the camera moved in on their faces. Nice, I like that, Melindhra. I think I wonder how much they will have noticed that, and we'll get more close-ups of that kind of facial expressions and aspect. And I want to show. Do you mind? I think this is probably a good time. You brought up the facial expression thing. I want to show this to everyone when we talk about this. If you've never seen anything that Ayula has done, I'll try to back this up just a little bit. And I agree with this idea that I think just her expressiveness is like really impressive. So this is something that she did. She did like a reading for Irish Film London. It's on YouTube right here, but she did a reading as Vanessa Keefer from Donald Glover's Atlanta as part of a series which collects audition tips from some of the best Irish screen talent, is how they introduce Ayula. So watch some of this. You can go, I'll include this link later. We're not going to show a huge clip of it, but I think hopefully you'll get a picture for what we're talking about when we say that. So enjoy.
I want to be in a committed relationship where I'm valued as a human being and not as an accessory that you can fuck.
That's a good answer. I know what I want, and I know this arrangement works for me.
So it works for you. So you don't want to change anything.
This definitely feels like a trap.
I don't want to keep having this conversation.
Anyways, you can go watch it. It's actually 2 minutes long. We just watched a minute of that. When you say that, Bain and Chiad, when you're like, no, I want to see her face. I totally get it. Like, there's just really, you don't even think about it, but just, I mean, it sounds really weird, but like her nose flaring and not finishing, kind of the way she speaks, and her lips not coming together to finish like the consonant, if you will, or something. And the way her eyes kind of, you see them kind of moving and not looking at that person, but and like the shivering almost of her eye. Anyways, like I'm like, it's good. It's really good. Any other thoughts? Thoughts that Melindhra, anything you saw in that clip, just there, or how you've maybe recognized that? Do you feel the same way? I guess about her?
Yeah, I guess I heard you say it, Bain and Chiad. I heard you say that like you weren't as excited about her when you saw her live, and I thought that's really interesting because like there are actors who are really good at switching between stage and film and knowing the differences in those different mediums and how to communicate best in those kind of things. And maybe she's still potentially a little young in her career to be able to take advantage of her skill set that works best in those on the stage versus on the film. But yeah, when we look at her on film, I mean, in pretty much everything we see, she just draws your eye. She steals your focus. She has such a compelling look to begin with, and then on top of that, she takes her time. She doesn't rush. She's completely invested in the moment that she's in, and that clip definitely illustrates that very well.
Yeah, Bain Chiad, I know you were thinking you're the only one that saw Paradise. Now, anything else? Obviously, you had the experience. You met Ayula. Was there something that came from that experience that I know you've talked about it before on the channel, but maybe something you can summarize for us of that experience itself? Anything you gained from that about her as a person?
Yeah, she's just extremely sweet and kind, actually pretty soft-spoken, and just very seemed very humbled by us coming to see her. She was very supportive of the fans and answered some of our questions and signed our programs. And she mentioned she was excited about filming season 3. And she mentioned that her younger sister has read the series, the Wheel of Time series, and or maybe both of her younger sisters, I can't recall, but
really?
Yeah, and that they were, they were kind of like, I don't know if you could be Aviendha. They kind of were skeptical about it, but
that's what they said right in that moment.
Yeah, they were like not sold on it. Like they just not how they pictured.
That is freaking awesome. I like it. Like apparently we needed to get them on the show.
Right, me too. Yes, but I thought about it and I was like, that's so true though. Like I have a sister, and when I read The Wheel of Time, I definitely don't imagine any of the characters looking like her or acting like her in any way. So I think if your sibling gets cast, it must be kind of a weird thing.
Yeah, be really strange.
Yeah,
there's definitely something sibling about that kind of answer, but it's still funny that they would have said that in that moment. Wow, like
right, yeah.
Not to like take us off of that interesting story, but I'm going to end this poll that's out there. Have you seen Cocaine Bear? By the way, 86% have not. So, but apparently to our audience, not missing. I mean, to our guests,
glad we didn't spoil too much.
Yep.
Not missing a lot there. Okay, so any final thoughts, Bain and Chiad, before we move on from Paradise Now?
Just that she had this moment where she comes up to the edge of the stage and they're in a bowling competition with another group. And she says all this threatening stuff and says, you won't know where your family's bones are buried. And she gets pretty stabby. And that just made me really excited in that moment. So I just wanted to share that piece.
Okay. So that's a really good piece to share. And apparently I will try to project more. I think I'm like just chill talking to you all about the show, and I'm getting really quiet. People are talking about it. So I'll project out to the audience more about these shows as we move forward. Our next up is back to the stage again, Romeo and Juliet. Mel, do you want to introduce us to the plot of the story? No, I'm just tell us about who Ayula was playing.
Yeah, so Ayula in a version of Romeo and Juliet that played on the stage at Shakespeare's Globe in London, played the character of Tybalt, which is traditionally a male role, but for this they gender swapped it. And Tybalt, if you remember your school days from Romeo and Juliet, Tybalt is a Capulet on the side of Juliet's family who gets in a fight basically with one of Romeo's buddies, Mercutio, and ends up stabbing him, and then Romeo gets pissed off and ends up fighting Tybalt, and they have this great battle, and Tybalt is, you know, a very like aggressive, angry character, full of honor, full of the urge to defend his family, and Ayula plays it out very well. And we have a clip that we found from an unlisted video.
That's right.
That I literally have been searching for like since I learned Ayula's name, because the thing that I was really interested in finding out about her specifically is how she moves. And I saw that she had played this character, and I knew there must have been a fight scene in this piece. And so we're gonna show that, right?
And that's right. Kevin said, OMG, shake spoilers. Yes, shake spoilers incoming.
Yes.
This is what's really funny about this moment. You did find this video, and I just remember you writing up this thing like, maybe we should ask if we can find it. Just kidding, found it. I don't know how much time passed between those two. I just saw it all in one thing.
Like, literally, this like I knew. So I knew it had aired during COVID, like they had played it live, like a lot of theaters during that time were playing like live archive footage for people to like watch plays from their homes. And I knew it had aired. So I knew there must have been a recording, and I knew somebody would have like put it somewhere. And it turns out that Shakespeare's Globe put it somewhere and just hid it from us.
And this is an audio described version of it. So I'm going to keep the audio up, but you might hear descriptions of happening. We'll play just like, I think, a minute or so of this, and we'll see. But yeah, enjoy Ayoola Smart as Tybalt.
Oh, calm, dishonorable, vile submission. Tybalt, you rat catcher, will you walk?
What wouldst thou have with me?
Good queen of cats, nothing but one of your 9 lives for you.
Gentle Mercutio, put thy weapon up.
Come, madam. Oh!
Mercutio pokes Tybalt with his drumsticks. Tybalt grabs him in a headlock, thrashes him with her chain.
Gentle folk, for shame, forbear this outrage. Tybalt, Mercutio, the prince expressly has forbid this bandying in Verona streets.
They pause, but Tybalt kicks out. Mercutio thumps her, slaps her across the face. He grabs her hand, kisses it, spins her away. She knees him in the groin, smashes his head down onto her knee. He reels. He races back, throws her up over his shoulder.
I kind of want, like, during the show, I want audio described because, like, hearing it, like, so I hope that was gave you an idea for those of you that haven't seen this. We'll put the link to that video in the description afterwards. Yeah, so Mel, speak to that. Like, what was it about, I guess, this role and the physicality, or that you saw as far as where you walked away and said, Ayoola has this particular strength to her acting?
Yeah, it was about conveying a character through movement. It's something that I wanted to really see, because I knew that she would have to have that ability to get this role, and I wanted to see how she carried it out. I'm a former dancer. And I'm sorry, I'm skipping ahead, but we have. Is it can I do show spoilers?
Show spoilers. Okay. Show spoilers. When you say show spoilers, what do you mean? Like,
I mean, like things that we have seen already in
season 1. Oh yeah, you can talk to season 1. Yeah.
Okay, so we have this example from season 1 of Magdalena Sitova just utterly rocking it as an Aiel, and I wanted to, like, you know, she's set the bar really high, so I wanted to see what potential Ayoola Smart might have to do the same thing, and what I saw from this, even though it was stage combat and not film combat, which are very different in the way that they're carried out, right? Because they're live, you can't do any sort of film tricks with them. You saw a complete, utter intentionality in the way that she committed to the work that she was doing. You saw how she still conveyed the character, even though she was doing movement. And and for those of you who want to go back and watch later, there's even more, because there's a shake spoilers. There's the section where Romeo then fights her, and she like ends up on his back, and he's like flinging her around, and then she ends up like getting stabbed and dying. Like, it's so great. There's so much good potential, movement potential there, because that's not always something that actors are good at, right? And you can see from that she has this great baseline of being able to move easily within her body, especially when she's performing.
Gotcha. So from a physicality standpoint, you think this is a good one for people to go back and actually go watch if they want to have an idea of how that might. This came out, I want to say Romeo and Juliet was 2019. So there has been some probably evolution of those skills. But yeah, that's a good 4 years ago. Roofmistress, any thoughts on this one?
I definitely have lots of thoughts. So this was the one, as Mel was saying, that she does get very physical, and actually this is very unique within the roles of all the compositions, minus what maybe Bain Chiad saw on stage, where she does get more physical. The rest of the show, she's just kind of like there. Also, her physical presence, the way she stands, is very different. So a lot of the other characters she plays, she doesn't have that like very upright posture. So with Tybalt, she is standing up very straight, very proud, walking almost like laying like cats across the courtyard. She's got that strut that is very unique among the body of work that we saw, and just that confidence. I was just like, oh yeah, that is an Aiel right there. Like, that is how an Aiel is going to walk. And like, you almost want to think that as the casting directors were hiring her, they were keeping this in mind, is like that she was just able to like pull her shoulders up and hold her head high and strut.
Yeah, and it's, well, I was about to jump into Aviendha, so I'm not going to do that. Yes,
No,
good
it's so
point.
hard.
Good point. I will hold that comment. I will hold that comment. It's always difficult for me to not do that.
Yeah.
But why is One Shelly? Anything you wanted to add as far as things you saw Ayula for this particular piece of work? Did you have any thoughts on it?
I think Leigh-a took a lot of it. I think Tybalt and Mercutio are two of my favorite characters in that play in particular. So I really like that she could like. Gender swapping is always something that people tend to get a little tizzy about, but I think it works perfectly in this. So I think she did a really good job filling like a very classic and very popular role, and I think that really bodes well for the show.
Cool. Yeah, it's gonna be a fun conversation when we switch it over to Aviendha and talk about how these merge together. Let's jump on to the next one here, and it is actually Killing Eve. Which is a television series out there. Roofmistress, do you want to give us kind of an idea of her role here?
I would love to. So she pops in at the beginning of season 3. So going to try to go not spoilers as possible. There's a lot. Killing Eve is an amazing show. Won a lot of awards, and also just the fact that she was cast into this as it was winning awards, I thought was amazing. She does play a smaller part, so she is definitely a more minor character, a coworker, love interest of one of the original cast members that something happens to him.
Okay.
And so she's there, in the background, giving the continuing role people information. So again, very minor character. She's part of this tech company. But
was she like? Is she like? I don't know. She sits at the front desk. I didn't really know. Is she like an admin there or no?
She's one of the members of this tech team, like tech journalistic team. Yeah. It's kind of a cohort. Again, trying not to get too spoilery.
You're doing a great job of like everyone's out there. I did see some people like, oh, I need to mute this, walk away from it. So no one spoiled Killing Eve. You're all fine out there. Yeah, like tell me about like how she took on this role. What do you thought were some of the
and that's the most things that I want to discuss, because again, she has a very minor role in the series, but what she did, you know, the character passed, so like there's this wake and she's in there sobbing, you know, wasting her tears. We Aiel don't like that, but you know, she wasn't playing an Aiel at this time, so it's fine. But she just like her mourning was like like kind of poignant. And then in the next, so that's episode 1, 2, episode 3 of season 3, there's this moment that she has with the mother of this character, where the mother, Fox, is having kind of a hard time coping, but they're having a conversation, and the mother says, goes off and says, the Celts used to go off and wail and bemoan, and it was not shameful. And she looks at Ayoola Smart's character, Audrey, and says, you should do that. And just to what you guys were saying about her in Paradise Now and Romeo and Juliet, like her facial expressions, she doesn't really respond verbally, but you can tell that she physically is digesting the information, and it gives her character peace, and also like, okay, like some sort of acceptance from the mother of the character that's passed. And it's very like, she doesn't say anything, and it's this very poignant moment. And I think that's important for, again, we're trying to say how she gets into playing Aviendha, but just being able to express things without saying anything is, it's very Wheel of Time, because there's so many words that Robert Jordan wrote, and having to express yourself without having to do the POV, like not doing the dialogue, is, I think, extremely important for anybody who's playing any role in Wheel of Time.
Do you want me to play that? I know we have that's in our show reel, that moment.
I would love
for anyone that's watching. We are going to spoil a little bit of, I guess, this is like episode 2 or 3, and
episode 3 of season 3.
Oh, so season 3, and here's, I think, the moment you're talking about. You know, you can stop me if this is not, but I think this is what you meant.
So. I think it is.
Is, do you think that Kenny was happy? Do you think?
He used to sing to himself when he was on the loo. S Club 7, mostly.
And he liked the job?
Loved it. He missed you, though. Said nobody kicked his arse like you did.
I could be hard on him.
My mom told me I was brilliant at everything, even when I wasn't. I spent 4 years trying to be an artist without any actual talent. Being hard on someone is sometimes what they need.
The ancient Celts used to mourn their loved ones with wailing and shrieking. Just a public ritual for them. They weren't embarrassed about it in the least. Don't be embarrassed, will you?
There you go. Yeah.
That scene goes on for a little bit longer of her just digesting what just got told to her. And
and I think she did it the entire time. Again, that's one of the things that just has stood out to me for all these things I've seen in this role, even, is just, again, there's a lot happening internally, or she's communicating that, if that makes sense, for people that are watching. And this one, I think, you know, if you want to get an idea of like what that's like for her, I think Killing Eve is a good one to kind of watch for that specific reason. Were there any other kind of things you wanted to bring up about that role itself as far as strengths from Ayula?
Just what everybody has said before is like, you know, when she's on screen, like you see her, she's got a very obvious presence, even if she's not saying something. So like the first time you see her, she and Kenny are looking at each other, and you're like, there's something there, because just the way she like glances up from typing, but there's this electricity in her eyes.
Yeah. Was there anyone else? I know I watched this one too. Did anyone else watch this one and want to make a comment on it before we jump on from here? Okay. There was a lot, everybody. Sometimes you get actors where there's just like 3 things and everyone, okay, there was so much to choose from. She has done so much work in theater that it was almost like, okay, we have enough. We have 8 or 9 things we're going to be talking about. That's plenty to kind of get an idea of her strengths, if you will. This next one is called Juliet Naked, and I'm going to give you an idea, really poorly done, about this show. But Ethan Hawke is in this show, which is notable in the sense that he has a number of scenes with Ayula. He's Tucker Crowe, if I remember that correctly, and he's an old rock star, and has a number of children with a number of individuals out there, and Ayula's character is one of those, the second oldest of those children, and has not seen him for 10 years, and that's how, if I recall, we're introduced to Lizzie, I believe is her name, and she's pregnant, and that plays a line through the whole movie, and I this is one I saw, so I want to jump in while I introduce it and just answer my own question. This is actually one of the first ones that I watched, and this is when I immediately knew, like the scene that when they meet, it's almost at a bus stop, I think. He pulls up in a car, he gets out, they have some interactions there, and she's just there. Like she's doing, you believe her as a character, and opposite, Ethan Hawke, which you're like, okay, he, like she's in like scenes with just really well-known, renowned actors, and you don't feel like it's like a bit piece. Like she belongs in the scene. That's kind of what I walked away, and I was like, cool. Like it's not going to be hard to watch her. It's not going to be like, oh, don't give her lines. Don't, you know what I mean? Like that's not how I felt.
Yeah.
I watched the scene with Ethan Hawke, and I was like, oh damn, like give Aviendha moments. Like make sure the camera is on Ayula's face when you have her in the show. Like I want to see that. This is not someone who I'm hoping kind of doesn't get much attention from the camera, if that makes sense. Like, because I want to see those interactions between her and other characters that we'll talk about later. So for this one, and I'll go back to this one. I believe that Mel, you watched this one also. So do you have any thoughts about what you thought were other strengths in Juliet Naked from Ayula's character?
Yeah, I do. What I found really compelling about her role in this particular piece is that she has a couple really good layers that she's dialed in very well. She's trying, especially in the introduction, she's trying to keep her distance. You could tell that she was, kind of like giving Ethan Hawke's character a lot of gruff for not being around as a dad, and she's trying to be sarcastic and like zing him every once in a while, but like there's an underlayer with that of vulnerability and like an earnest interest in reconnecting, and that through line actually plays out in a plot line in the movie, but you can see it from the very beginning that she is trying to pretend like she doesn't care, but it's very clear that she does. And she communicates that so well in that intro scene.
Mm-hmm. I feel like we're setting Ayula like she's got to like, it's already filmed.
She's amazing, guys.
It's already been filmed, so hopefully like all these things that we're talking about really come through. I'm very hopeful, and it's one of those where you're like, okay, I hope that translates the way it translated in other mediums and other films the same way on screen. Because I think you're right. Any other comments about this one before we jump on from here?
Yeah, I didn't watch the whole thing, but I did watch a couple of her scenes. And I think what struck me was that she can convey anger and hostility in a very subtle way. So it's not over the top. She's not yelling and screaming. It's again with her facial expressions, her tone of voice, even just like a slight bit of sarcasm that just kind of comes in. And I think that's an incredible skill as an actor, to be able to not go over the top and to show anger in kind of a seething, low-key way. And I really appreciated that.
Like when she's sitting at the guys, we're gonna ruin some things that happen in the show, but she's they're sitting in a hospital. Like I feel like that scene kind of has it. Like and as a parent, I think I've been on the there's a little contempt, right? But it's kind of there and trying to show some respect and deference, but at the same time, like really upset, and not going to kind of give an inch at all to the person opposite her. Yeah, she does that really, really well.
And that scene also shows that she has such a strong sense, that character has a strong sense of like what's right and what's morally right. And she communicates that so fiercely and with no shame, she doesn't hold back. She's just like, this was the right thing to do, and I did it, and I'm not going to apologize for it. And she channels that energy so well. Yeah,
it's really good. Okay, let's just watch a little bit of the scene. Okay,
please.
We've got to see a little bit of it. Okay, and the reason why we're showing this to you also is this is in her Showreel, so we'll make sure that that link is in the description too. That we can include that. You can go watch the Showreel. Thank you very much, Dajit. Appreciate it. Glad that I could catch this lovely panel live. Keep up the good work, dear Scene Keeper. Here's a small tip for a cup of chai. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. Awesome to see you in chat, Dajit. Okay, here is the scene that we're talking about, and like I said, this is from a Showreel, and so enjoy.
I also called Grace.
What's going on with you?
She's your daughter, and this has gone on long enough.
What's going on long enough?
You pretending we don't exist.
I'm not pretending you don't exist. I came all the way over here to see you.
That's unclear.
What does that mean?
Honestly, I can vouch for him. It was a complete coincidence.
Even so.
What do you mean, even so? I flew 3,500 miles to see you.
That is exactly what I'm talking about.
What do you mean, Mom? I'm not. You don't be so
It's like
sensitive.
we're this inconvenience, like you hate us all or something.
I don't hate you. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just... Come on, I'm under siege.
If you really cared about us, you'd want us to know our siblings, for example.
I do want you to know. What am I supposed to do?
There you go. So, yeah. The Showreels, I think it's... Again, it includes basically the pieces that we've discussed and talked about here. Just some good scenes that she's been part of. Okay, yeah. So I forgot to ask this about Killing Eve. So let me go back and ask this: Killing Eve should, by show of the spears or daggers, whatever you have, is this a Killing Eve? Yes, or stab it. No, don't stab it. Is stabbing
is good.
Would stabbing be good? Okay, so stabbing it. Okay, so stabbing Killing Eve. Apparently, that is yes. So how about?
Which is also on point for the show a little bit.
I don't have. All I have is this thing. So yep, that's my.
I mean, a pen.
I don't have
if
a
you
pen.
Spend enough time
But I would say
spend enough time with us, we'll teach you to kill someone with that. Don't
excellent. Okay, thank you. So Juliet naked, I would say definitely a stabby kind of. I'm getting lots of stabby motions here?
Stabby. Yeah.
So
if
Juliet
you're
naked.
in the mood for a over-the-top cheesy rom-com that actually isn't like the stereotypical rom-com, watch this.
It's an interesting movie. I'm not even
It
sure
was
to think
very.
about it.
I kind of went into I think we in the pre-show we were like, oh, another Juliet. It's like, no, it's not Romeo and Juliet. It's a different Juliet.
Exactly right. Okay, next one up here is Smother, and Leigh-a, do you want to give us the intro to this one?
I would love to. So this is a British based TV show. It is kind of a whodunit, and Ayula plays the girlfriend, fiance of the ex-boyfriend of one of the daughters of the guy that got murdered, who is also the best friend of that daughter. And so there's a lot of drama. It's very soap opera-y. There's a lot going on, and it's very different than some of the roles that she's played, but she just plays it magnificently.
Yeah.
I think there's only 2 seasons out of Smother, and she's dabbled all throughout the seasons as appropriate. I haven't seen the whole thing. I've only seen, I think, up through episode 5 of the first season, but when she's in it, it just, again, like, she's got the presence. So everything that we've said before, she's got the presence. She embodies that character. And one thing that I've become obsessed with about her is I think she really channels the person that she's playing, because versus Tybalt and the person in Killing Eve, and even the daughter in Juliet Naked, like, her stance, the way she like physically carries herself in every single role is unique to that character. So who she's playing in Smothered is, you know, the best friend, girlfriend. And so, like, she's not hunched over, like, she's not this dork that's like a part of a nerd thing. She's not Tybalt, who's strutting around like cats crosses the courtyard. You know, she's just like this happy person who's
She's
there.
sweet. She's sweet.
Yeah.
And
Also,
even like, yeah, go ahead.
One thing that if I ever got a chance to interview her, I want to ask, because I feel like almost every single character that she plays, the clothes that she wears is very much like, if you follow her on Instagram, it's very much her own style. So I want to know if she has input on the clothes that she gets to wear for her characters. Because again, like, it's so Ayula. Like, once you get to, like, I feel like we're getting all up in her head and knowing her a little better. So in this one, like, you get to see, she's got lots of costumes in this one. And it's like, I want her wardrobe. She dresses so well.
Yeah.
So
all her characters dress so well.
Yeah.
Bain and Chiad, you also watched this one. Any other additional kind of notes that maybe haven't come up, or just kind of doubling down on things you've seen before that this proved out to you?
Yeah, I had so much fun watching this last night. I just literally fast forwarded to every single one of Ayula's scenes. So I kind of got to see the whole character arc and storyline of her role. And things I learned about her in this, she can really hold her own in a love triangle situation. Like, she was strong in that.
Yeah.
And she showed a lot of emotional range. Like, there were so many different topics covered in this show, like postpartum depression, infidelity, things like feeling insecure in relationships. And I feel like she was able to convey all of those things. And again, not in an over the top way, in a very subtle way.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. Just the variety of things that are happening. And even then kind of maintains, well, at least fast forwarding to the scenes, I don't know, but seems to maintained kind of that core understanding of who the character was. And so it felt really consistent through all those things in a way that was like, oh yeah, I did a good job understanding the character, embodying that character, and bringing that character to each scene in a way that became expected, if that makes sense. Like, it seemed pretty natural to her. Not, again, surprised. That is one thing I've come to believe about her, is that I'm not worried at this point about just her being in a scene. You know, whatever line she's given, I think she's going to carry that consistently, her idea of that character, and do it well. Do it more than competently, professionally, in a way that I think it makes sense. I mean, when you see the roles that she's had, I think she's opposite in Ethan Hawke like that. Or she's in Killing Eve because people are seeing that she has those gifts and they can come and rely on her. So anyway, sorry. Smother was a good one. I totally believe I'm seeing people make fun of this thing. What was it? I'm trying to find. Yes, I'm trying to find that comment from. Shoot, I lost
from Goat Brother.
Yeah,
Did
Goat
he just
Brother's
bring
comment.
a screw to a stabbing?
Yes, exactly. I can't find the character. I can't find the comment. There we go. Yes, that is correct. It's that's what happened. So I'm gonna give that a stabby. Smother.
Absolutely, yes.
Smother is definitely what should be. You should go check that one out if you want. I feel like am I wrong in saying that for those of you that have seen Smother, there's more of Ayula in that than in some of these roles? Like you'll see her in more scenes. It seemed like that to me. Like
Yes.
if you wanted to get the most, but I guess it's across multiple episodes, so there's a lot of fast forwarding if you if you wanted.
It
just
took
see
a
those.
while.
Yeah, it did. It did take a while. I was definitely kind of like stop. You know.
She is in Juliet Naked. I think she's probably of the minor
good point.
characters,
Yeah.
she's the most minor character.
Yeah.
For the TV shows, bang for your buck, I definitely would say Smother. Also, just weird British humor about like a murder chaos.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong with that.
It's pretty good. Okay, so we're down to our final two, everyone. We're going to talk about these. I know it's really hard for all of us to not just talk about Aviendha. I can tell in chat this is like difficult for chat because they're just let us talk about the Wheel of Time. That's what we're here for. So it's getting close.
It's hard for us.
Getting a foundation. You got to get the foundation first before you can go up.
Good things come to those who wait, people.
Exactly. And Shelly, do you want to introduce us to this one? That's called I'd say it's Myo-Leku. I'm not sure if you have a better pronunciation. Go for it.
So
Do it one more time.
Myo-Leku.
Myo-Leku. Okay, cool.
So this is a short film, and I was actually really happy to watch this one because I really enjoy short films. You have to project a lot in a very short period of time. And so the overall plot is there's a young man who, grows up in tough circumstances, very artistic, but has to give up on that for a number of reasons that are very common to people who grow up in, rough neighborhoods, in poverty, that sort of thing. And so he gives that up, kind of becomes a drug dealer, and I'm going to spoil it because it's such a short.
It is a very short film, everybody. Close your ears if you don't want this thing spoiled.
It's 15 minutes.
Yeah, it's not that spoiled, but long story short, he, goes through that process, and it shows him wanting to leave that. And Ayula is kind of a critical character in that. So he meets her, and she, it's not really clear if she's an ex or if she's like a really good friend from high school who he had feelings for. But I think that's what shows the strength of her role. Is there is that ambiguity, and you don't 100% know, but you definitely feel the connection between them very quickly. So it's quite a beautiful film. I would highly recommend watching it regardless. But I think that's the most I got out from that was just her ability to have charisma and connection with other characters quite quickly and build it in a very short period of time, which I think is going to be critical as the show expands its characters, because there's several people she becomes quite close to. So I think that's going to be important as a part of that role.
Yeah, there's a word I think that I came. Yeah, there was a certain. She was able to kind of immediately have an intimacy, a familiarity kind of on screen, like really quick. And in a lot of her roles where I just believed the relationship aspect of the role. And when you brought up this one scene, she meets up with this character, and they have a cool, like the way that they directed the scene, like the camera kind of pans over the shoulder back and forth.
Yeah.
And,
It's such a good film. It's got such good camera work.
Yeah.
It's a good script. It's a powerful message. Like I really enjoyed it across the board.
And you can go watch it right now.
15 minutes.
Yeah, exactly. Anyone else want to speak up about this one that they felt kind of strongly about something they saw from Ayula that maybe we haven't covered at this point that you want to bring up about this short film?
I do. Without being too on the nose, but from this we see her in the role of a character supporting someone who might be going through a mental breakdown, and we get a very
it's a good sip there.
Succinct glimpse of that, and her ability to instantly use that, like that, what we've been talking about this whole evening, this stillness, this presence, this just like way to own the scene in a supportive way of the main character of this movie. So she helps convey in just like a smidgen of a line or two how to calm this person down, and get him able to communicate in a way that's more supportive of what he needs in the moment. And that was just a really great thing to see, which we will talk about Later.
Well, and then
Yeah,
at the same
yeah.
time, at the end, like not just communicate that strength, but then deal with the reciprocation once that character breaks down
Yeah.
and like and is talking incoherently and just being like, okay, we need to slow down. We just like you need to communicate to me. Like I don't understand what you're saying. Like I do think that the way that she was the back and forth between those two characters in this short film was brilliant, and I think it will translate very well to Wheel of Time stuff. Again, we're not getting there yet. We're not getting there yet.
To Wheel of Time stuff. I like it. This one I would say give us for those who've watched it, this is definitely a stabby for me. This thing is so ridiculous. I'm gonna keep this from now on. I'm just gonna bring this.
Yes.
It's just stabby. We are down to our last. We're down to our last one. Death in Paradise. Bain and Chiad, why don't you give us an introduction to this one?
Yeah. So this was just one episode of a show that's sort of a comedy, drama, crime solving show that takes place in the Caribbean. And it was season 10, episode 8. So this show has had a lot of seasons. And Ayula played the daughter of the woman who was murdered, and they were trying to figure out how she died. And at one point, Ayula's character was a suspect in the murder, and they sort of interviewed her about that. And it turns out she didn't do it, but she had threatened to do it because she was really angry with her mother. So again, pretty much all the things we've already talked about. You know, she was able to, in a small role, be very striking, understood the assignment, you know, got her emotions across in a way that you understood where she was coming from with very few lines. So you really understood her story and her feelings through just some subtle facial movements and, you know, just the way that she's present in the scene.
Yeah, and it's a really short, like, if I'm not mistaken, it's like that one scene, right? And that's it? Was there anything else?
There's 3 scenes, I think. There's one in the beginning before she's murdered, and she sort of makes like a snide comment, and then they interview her originally right after she's murdered, and then there's the third interview where they're like, oh, did you do this? Because there's this evidence that you were there, whatever. So she had 3 short scenes.
So this is the problem with you fast forward things. I was like, I remember one scene. I was like, oh, that's weird.
I did watch the whole episode because it's actually kind of a cute show. But she had those 3 scenes.
Yeah. So, and it was that, I guess, that initial one where they where she's at the table and she's talking about her mom and the events. Again, just we get this quick scene that we're introduced to her, and like you said, just kind of just captivating. Owns the screen. I don't know if her height's helping her in that, you know. That's something you notice definitely about it, and so
savvy.
Yeah. Exactly.
And I just think those kind of roles must be challenging for an actor. I mean, I don't know, but you know, you're just in one episode and you only have so much time to establish yourself and make an impression, and then you never come back. And so I'm sure she was challenged by it, and she did fine, I think.
Yeah, for sure. That one, I mean, I guess I watched that one too. Did anyone else watch this one, Death in Paradise? I know I saw that. Okay, just Bain and Chiad and I. So we're up. Would you tell people to go watch this if they wanted to know more about? I mean, if you can find the scenes, like I would say, don't watch. I mean, I don't know. Death in Paradise might be great, but you don't have to watch 10 seasons to get there.
No, definitely not.
Just if you want to, it's really quick. It's a quick episode. It sounds like you should watch the entire episode. Don't do what I did, which is just fast forward and find the scene because you missed a couple with her. But would you, Bain and Chiad, would you say this is a one to go see, or would you say focus on other ones?
I think of all the ones that we've discussed tonight, I think it's the least important. But it's still
other than Cocaine Bear.
Okay, okay.
Cocaine Bear is pretty fun to get there.
Just see Cocaine Bear to see Cocaine Bear.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
but
that was shocking. My wife watched that with me, and it was just one of those moments where, like, what is this show? I was like,
Oh, so
But we
you
kept
didn't watch
watching.
on the plane ride to JordanCon?
No, I didn't. I should have. We watched that one. Okay. We've arrived to the end for not the end of the show, everyone. I will take the reminder down for those that are new readers and don't want anything spoiled about characters. This is the time to step away from the show. Hopefully you enjoyed learning more about Ayula, what we thought about the roles, where we thought there were some strengths. And now we're going to talk about the character of Aviendha. This is almost as difficult. The task ahead of us is only talking about Aviendha. Don't then thread Ayula in. It's hard. So for that in mind, let's focus on who is Aviendha. And wise one, Shelly, why don't you start us off like you think about Aviendha? What's the first word that comes to mind and subsequent words? Don't take all the words, but enough that we can spread around the love of what we think of Aviendha.
These are very nondescript instructions.
Welcome to the Dusty Wheel. Yes.
I think what always stands out about Aviendha to me is reluctance. You know, I think she's one of these people who has a fate and is just really, really ticked off about that fate. And is kind of fighting it tooth and nail. And she's got multiple fates in the book. And she just fights them tooth and nail. And in some ways I kind of relate to it. In some ways I kind of love it, especially where she's like, I just want to stab things. And they're like, well, unfortunately, you can wield the one power, so you have to become a leader. And I'm sure they wouldn't make her a wise one if there weren't other leadership qualities that they saw. But I think that's like, it's the reluctance and the constant fight against, you know, what she's being pulled towards doing versus what she wants to do. And I think that's kind of Aviendha's big arc for me, I would say.
That fight, is there a good word for kind of that? I think reluctance is, but it's like the fighting because of the reluctance. Is there a good word that you can kind of frame as far as an attribute for that tendency to kind of fight, whether or not it's that the fate, you know?
I wish I had Anna here because she's so perfect at picking the exact word in our beautiful language.
Well, for the same things that you said, I would say stubborn.
Okay. Yeah, I think
everything that you said. And reluctant is also like I always think of it as stubborn. Reluctant is a very that's going to make me reread her in a different way. But I always see her as stubborn.
And I think the reason I shy away from the word stubborn is the obstinate tone to it. Because I don't think she's doing it.
She's not obstinate. She's just very grounded in who she thinks she is, and that's why I say she's stubborn. She's not necessarily obstinate, but she's just like, this is who I am. I think I'm a maiden of the spear. I think I'm just all the things. Sorry, I just so many things that she's stubborn about. So she's stubborn about wanting to be an Aiel, even though she's starting to learn wetland tendencies. She's stubborn about, I obviously don't know what I've done wrong, and I haven't met my toe yet, and I can't be a wise one yet, which means I can't marry the man I love. She's being stubborn about that, just she's just so grounded in who she thinks she is that she's not looking outside of that. So when it's not obstinate, it's just she's just very, maybe stubborn is the wrong word, but she's
prideful.
Yes, prideful.
Yeah, as someone who is frequently told that they're stubborn and does not believe it, no matter how much people tell me, I refuse to believe this. Aviendha is just one of those people that I kind of relate to, because sometimes fate deals you a weird hand. And that's really not what I want to be doing, and she's kind of stuck doing it anyways.
Yeah.
But I think I've
there's other prideful is a better word. Prideful is a way better word than stubborn.
Okay. Mel, do you have other better words that you want to add to this grouping, if you will, of kind of attributes that you think about when you think about Aviendha?
I'm gonna go in the opposite direction because there's so many things about Aviendha that we love, and but she's also incredibly vulnerable. She's incredibly, she's at a life changing. Like she spends the entirety of the books like in these transitions, right? She's and she is not afraid to like be in those moments where things are not like you said, things are not going her way, but she's not afraid to express that it's difficult for her. It's difficult to be in the position that she's in, and she may not say it in so many words, but her actions say it that way. And can I just point out, like I like was watching the chat when we were finally released from like the full spoilers, like and just like the unleashing of Aviendha in the chat was just like, it was like,
can we ramen rattle for them?
They just like expressed how my entire chest like relaxed for a moment, and then you told me I couldn't talk about Ayula and Aviendha, and then you made it worse because I was like, oh, I'm free, and now I'm not free again. But
I know.
You're the worst. But yeah, so she has this vulnerability to her that's layered in this sense of duty and honor that's like probably one of the strongest that we see communicated in the books, right? She is the definition of what Ayula duty and honor is. And she's the show not tell part of that. And I think probably the show is going to use her to educate the viewers in the ways of what the Ayula culture means, and maybe do that more so than her being like Rand's like, I'm going to teach you about the Ayula. It's not, I think they're not going to do that quite so much as just her presence and her being Ayula and embodying what that means, and the things that she fights and the things that she latches onto is going to be the way that they communicate that culture to everybody.
Cool. I mean, I've heard reluctant, prideful, vulnerable, honorable, dutiful, Bain and Chiad. Anything we're missing from this list? You think of Aviendha. What else makes up this character that Robert Jordan's given us?
I think all of it's been covered mostly. One word I saw in chat was fierce, which I think is a good way to describe the way that she defends her honor and defends her point of view, and the people she cares about. So I would definitely add fierce to the mix. And Mel, you talked about duty, and I think that's a big part of her role and how she just does what she needs to do. Like I'm thinking of a particular scene towards the end of the series where she does something incredibly difficult and incredibly brave, and she just does it. And whatever that might mean.
Spoilers, tell us.
but brave. I mean, I think that's a good word to add in there. I think brave is very accurate. And even not that it's without fear sometimes, but it's like, and that is, I guess,
she faces her fears.
Yeah,
she faces her fears with like her eyes open, and she's vulnerable in that way, and she's willing to admit that fear, but she will do it anyway.
Yeah, and I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like that is something she's trying to get across to Rand also. Is his
that's the trope that all the women have, is that they always recognize the bravery and courage of the other women, and they don't recognize it within themselves. So it's Nynaeve, Elaine, Aviendha, men, like they're always talking about how brave the other women are, and they don't recognize it within themselves. And then during the first sister ceremony, that is communicated between Aviendha and Elaine as well.
Yeah. Leigh-a, what else are we missing here? Brave, fierce, dutiful, honorable, vulnerable, prideful, reluctant. I've seen a couple of many attributes in chat. So yeah, what else would give us another kind of branch of her character that maybe we haven't discussed yet?
She's brilliant.
Oh, interesting.
She is
okay.
Super smart, super intelligent. She's not intuitive. Like she doesn't get things sometimes. Like she doesn't pick up the things that put down in front of her. But she learns very quickly. She's very smart, and especially as she grows as an apprentice wise one, especially at the end as the wise ones are trying to get her past that obstinate stubbornness, the pridefulness that like she's just not enough. They're asking her all these questions about Rand, and she is just answering like a wise one, left and right. So like she gets it. Her brain is so big. It's like one of my favorite things about her, just how smart she absorbs everything so quickly and processes it. So like just one of the more brilliant characters within the series, I think.
I'm glad you brought that up because it's weird. We don't really. Okay, I'm going to say this to a group of Aiel. so I'm ready. Look, I did not have trepidation as I thought about the idea. Now I do, but there is a craftiness. There is a just very capable nature of the Aiel, like you said. But one thing that's, I guess we don't sit down and talk about a ton, at least I don't, is just how smart they are. Does that make sense? Like there's just like they seem like they're like these desert, warriors and stuff, but you're like, no, but they know so much that they're often like training everyone around them of like, you don't know how to do this. You don't have, okay. But they're used to a culture of, right. They want others to be that capable, and they almost get surprised when they're just like, oh, and maybe I've never thought about it this way. I'm a wetlander, so maybe that's why. But I've never connected that aspect of that kind of wetlander reference. I've taken it more as kind of just like that's their way of just speaking about the other, versus just like their tendency to see them not as like aware of their surroundings, if you will, but in intelligence.
Go ahead, Shelly.
Yeah.
I actually think this is one of the things that I love that Jordan does. Because I think there's such a parallel to our world too, where they're referring to them as Aiel savages. And then all of a sudden here's this fully blown, beautiful culture with rituals and knowledge and oral knowledge and written knowledge and different ways of knowing the world and different ways of seeing and understanding the world. And everyone who meets them is just like, so I think that's one of the things that I think Jordan does sometimes well in his writing is flipping the expectations. And don't get me wrong, like we sometimes talk about the Aiel have their own issues sometimes as well. But that flip of the expectations of what we hear about the Aiel versus what we see in the Aiel in the books, I think is really, really
well.
I think in addition to flipping things, what Jordan does is take the innate bias that people have against cultures that are not necessarily quite as technologically advanced. So if you go back to when Europeans were coming over to the Americas, they didn't think of the indigenous cultures here as advanced or advanced in any form or fashion, having any culture. They were just dismissed outright. And that's kind of what the Wetlanders do to the Aiel culture. And it's not true. So like all the indigenous cultures had this very deep cultural sense. They had this entire history. They had like religion. They had theories. They had learning. They had multiple complex communications, language. Just again, it's Robert Jordan was taking things from real life and applying it to the books, and that bias exists.
And he does a good job. Sometimes you throw it to the wise ones. You're like, okay, well, like sure but like you almost compartmentalize what they're good at. That's how I just as we're talking, I'm like, oh yeah, no, actually, I'm going to read it differently the next time I go through this, which is viewing them differently from a just cultured way, if you will, or just an intelligence and how they learn and train as a culture, applying it across everything, not just kind of like, oh yeah, they're really good in a fight, or they're really good in Teleron-Riyadh. Okay. I think I've isolated their talents in many ways that I didn't consider until you brought up that whole idea about Aviendha being brilliant. And because I've always liked her as a character, and I was like, oh shoot, I wonder, like, that appeal, I think, was subconscious to me, you know, of like, yeah, I know she's smart and I like smart characters in books, but I hadn't actually nailed it down into that. So thank you very much for bringing that up. That's awesome. By the way, that's what you're here for. Yeah, exactly. Other things that I don't know if you've seen from chat. I saw, it's been a while in chat here. I saw one that I thought was really good and worth chatting about. That's right. It wasn't.
She's an onion.
No, I can't remember anymore. That's well, anyways, I'll try to remember what it was. Any other attributes about Aviendha that you want to bring to this discussion before we merge these two people together?
What we haven't touched on yet is like her unique abilities with channeling. She's got some like talents with a capital T, but she also has some abilities that play out differently than the way the other channelers do. And I think it would be really interesting to see how that's portrayed on screen, because, you know, her ability to unravel weaves and how that, you know, is used in the culmination of everything, her ability to, you know, kind of figure out what ter'angreal are just by looking at them, her ability to know what a weave is going to be able to do before the weave itself is like formed. You know, all of that lends to something that is pointed out actually in Origins of her character being a soothsayer, and that soothsayer ability plays out not just in her wise one ability, you know, Ruidian related stuff, but also in the way that she channels and in the foreknowledge that she uses to be able to be a better channeler.
Yeah, it's like in the book, sometimes they're like, wait, what did she do? Or you're reading it and you're like, oh, was that an accident? you know, like, or is that just like, instead of like, no, like, this goes back to the previous point, but she's uniquely talented and intelligent and brave and understand self kind of assured. And so she does things that other people are like, I would never have tried that because that's insane. I would never.
Exactly.
So, and so, yeah, I agree with you. Hopefully that's something that they've gained in their research of Aviendha, because what I would really love to see is that she is a little bit like, you notice something special and that they highlight something unique about her in the show. That's not just, I don't want to say it this way, but not just any maiden or any, you know, maiden of the spear or any wise one, but it's Aviendha. She's different enough that they kind of highlight some of the things that Robert Jordan embedded in this character. That'd be awesome. So yeah, uniquely talented or gifted is definitely something we should be talking about. So yeah, this is fantastic. Anybody else? Other attributes? We can talk about Aviendha actually all night because I love this character. So
I saw something in the chat, so I want to credit it because it was we both had a good thought at the same time. So whoever said it,
perfect.
But like Nynaeve is is my favorite character in the Wheel of Time, and it's partially because she's got such a good arc. And you know, as far as literature goes, I think she's one of the better characters in literature because she has such a good arc, and I think Aviendha has one too. And I think that's one of the most even though we've, you know, reluctant, stubborn, prideful, all those things, she still learns and changes. And I think that's a really beautiful characteristic. And I think that's a really lovely thing about how she's written. And it's just the change from who she was at the beginning of the book to the end is very authentic to like a human journey. And I think that's a really nice character piece that I hope we see in the show.
Yeah, there's an attribute that refers to that. And yeah, it's like, not malleable is the wrong word. It's curious. I don't know if that's the right word, but yeah, that ability to, even though you're self-assured, but that ability to kind of still learn something and change, just humility. Mature. I don't know.
There's a humility in it for sure.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe humble and there is like there's a maturity. Every once in a while an immaturity sometimes, but there's a maturity to Aviendha. That I think is also, it's where Egwene sometimes struggles with things, and Aviendha's already kind of moved on past that internal struggle, if you will. And maybe maybe there's just there's a humility to her that she doesn't necessarily bring up, but it comes out in how she gets past the challenge or moves past it. So
I think that's
adaptable.
also
that's really good. Yeah, adaptable. I think is a good word for it.
But that's indicative of Aiel culture in general, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the interesting juxtaposition of that. You know, you have these very strong, very firm ideals, but then you also have this unique understanding that you could be wrong and you may be shown you're wrong in multiple ways, and you accept that that's a part of what life is, and you accept that you're going to run into these incidences where you're going to be brought down a peg, and not be surprised by it, but accept it and learn from it and move on. And I think that's a really beautiful thing about that culture in general.
Yeah, I was in martial arts for like 3 years in my life, and my sensei that you could kind of, if this makes sense, see in the class some people that were just going to like come up against that wall and just punch the wall forever and had a hard time getting past the wall, if you will. And yeah, there's a certain, you can, like, if I put her in that situation, I think she would excel greatly, you know, and just the way that she tackles the problems, the conflict of people who know better than her or know more than her, but she still has that severe amount of confidence and maturity, but she's able to really adapt in those moments and learn quickly. I think you guys have brought that up before. So anyways, I love this character a lot.
She's just going to punch the wall.
Yeah. Not that she won't, but she's
going to punch the wall.
She won't stay there forever. You know what I mean? And that's, yeah, I think adaptable is a great word. Thank you, everybody out there. Okay. We finally arrived to the moment that you all wanted to be at the beginning of the show. I do this on purpose because I really want Ayula's discussion, because she's a person, right? I want to have that discussion of her as a person doing work separately. Aviendha is this character separate from Ayula in the books, and I like to have that kind of discussion. But yeah, let's talk about them as becoming Aviendha. You know, what did you see through our discussions, through your work, talking about Aviendha now? Where do you think that Ayula will excel in becoming Aviendha just from now kind of having done all this work? Anyone, you can just jump in.
I think the first thing I think of is this is going to be her biggest role. Like, there's no way it's going to be as small as all of these other, you know, pieces we've seen. And so I'm interested to see how she meets that challenge. I think it will give her more opportunity to kind of hone the skills we talked about, but maybe also expand upon them and have a bit more range and more opportunity to kind of show what she can really do. Because it's going to be a lot more in depth. It's going to be a lot more complex, you know, much more screen time. So I think that will be interesting to see, just as far as Ayula's development as an actor.
That's a good point. I didn't think about that. She will, like, hopefully.
Yeah.
Like, they better. But yeah, this is definitely an opportunity to take all the skills that we've seen and apply them in a singular role, and for being on screen. So I definitely think you're right. Anyone else? Where do you see that Ayula might excel in this role from what you've learned about her and then what we just talked about with Aviendha?
We've heard from Rafe that if he wanted to be a character in the Wheel of Time, he would be a Fardaris Mai. So I don't think that there's any chance that Rafe is going to give, like, the most famous of Fardaris Mai, like, a minor role in the show, right? So
Yeah.
we're gonna get to see Ayula Aviendha in, like, the full breadth, the full range of all of the emotions we've seen her do, and we could see that in just this first season, right? We could see her vulnerability, we could see her adaptability, we could see her grit, we could see all of that together in just I mean, the show has done such a good job at like communicating characters very quickly, but I hope they give her the time that she deserves, because she's Aviendha.
Well, but yeah, maybe that's what they saw in the work, like we're talking about, is they wanted somebody with that kind of range, right? You needed physicality, you needed you know, someone that can handle from a relationship standpoint. You know, in some of these roles, there's not have to be nuanced relationship concerns, but there are in this one, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And she has to own it in the way that Aviendha would own that, right? It's not how she as a person might. And so the ability that we've seen her in kind of multiple roles handle relationships a little bit differently. I think range is a great one that we can say she can excel as Aviendha because she has the range there. Whether or not she does it, we'll see, right?
Yeah.
But she has the range, and that's exciting to know going in as someone planning to watch the show and wanting to enjoy this character that we love, knowing that they've picked somebody that has the range was kind of part of the joy of watching all these. I'm like, okay, cool. Yeah. I actually believe that this person does have that. So anything else, like range is a really good one. Anything else that you feel like I think she's going to do this really well when it comes to becoming Aviendha?
Mayhem just put in chat that one of the things that they liked about Cocaine Bear was her dry humor, and that will work well for her character. I absolutely thought that watching her, how she can kind of do sort of that deadpan look. I think that will be something she brings to the table.
Yeah. The comedic timing in that actually really played into her favor, especially for that particular type of humor that we hope, we don't know, we hope that they will convey about the Aiel, because it's one of clearly our favorite part about the Aiel is their humor, because we spend all our time pretending to be them. But I completely agree. That's such a big part of the culture that makes it such a delight, and I think you can do it.
I'm confident that they will, because just the snippets we saw in the Q&A of the three of them together and how they answered some of the questions, they got it. They know. Yeah. So I'm not too worried about that.
Ooh, and speaking of Q&A, Rafe did answer that question. Just moving on to another attribute, he answered the question that I asked about how they are going to how they are creating fighting styles for different characters, and he dove into, he was kind of non-specific, but he was saying that the stunt team works with to create fighting styles for the cultures, but also fighting styles that fit the characters and the performers of the characters. And so given that what we've seen of her ability to move, I'm really excited to see what they do with her, and what all three of the maidens said about how they do their stunts and how they try and do as much of it as possible. And then what was it Ayula who said the thing about how her stunt double actually jumps for her because she can't jump? She said something like that.
Is that what she said?
Something like that. It was like alluding to the fact that like her stunt double actually went into the air because she actually can't. But
I'll never get over Raga's like, I do all my own stunts. Because like twice they were like, yeah, then we have stunt. I do my own, and like she said it, she kept saying it. I was like, this is the greatest. It's the greatest. Whether or not it was a bit or not, she did it fantastically.
I don't know. I loved
it. Yes. Well, I guess into my hopes and dreams is one thing that I love about it's more movie based, but like Wonder Woman, Woman Queen, there were all these behind the scenes like group women workout montages where they're like working out together and then like coordinating the fights and learning the fight scenes, and those get me so excited. So I'm really hoping that maybe one of the behind the scenes bits that Amazon does is, because there's a behind the scenes like 4 6-minute video for each episode. Like, I hope one of those is the Aiel training, and of course Ayula being featured in it, and it's just like the workouts that they do and what they do to get prepared to do these scenes, and like just something to get us all jazzed up that I can watch before I go work out and be like, okay, it's like super early in the morning. I don't want to, but I'm gonna go do it now.
It would be nice. Yeah. By the way, I think you just expressed wouldn't it be nice if they shared stuff with us about what they're doing? Yes. That is, if anyone's out there watching, it would be nice if you just shared some of the behind the scenes stuff that's going on.
We've definitely talked. Sorry, go ahead, Shelly.
Say, if they're watching, Ayula, you have a place on our show.
Yeah.
Talk about whatever you want. You want to come on and tell us your favorite cookie recipe?
Anytime. Yeah, that's actually the same thing I was going to say. Is we've talked about a lot on our show how we'd love to hear from the actors, but we'd also love to hear from the production people, because we're kind of obsessed with all sorts of like the levels of detail that go into the deep layers that they go into with like set dressings and props. And I would love
here. We like all the details.
Yeah, I would love to talk to the stunt team and learn more about that process. I mean, just so many cool things that they do, and they've integrated the story into each of those aspects of the show so well.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see what season 2 brings. I mean, there's a lot that they're trying to introduce this year, as far as the Shanchan also, and the Ayula, and such unique characters. I mean, Sheriam's coming in, and I mean, and then Aviendha, and other maidens of the spear. So like, anyways, that's I mean, crazy. Other things. I mean, dry humor, range, just any other kind of things that you saw where you think this is something she'll come in and excel at well for what she needs to become Aviendha?
I do feel like range covers a lot of it. So like just the sarcastic expressions that she's going to give, or the disdain, or just like, because Aviendha she does have a lot of lines, but the things that's most important about her is that those silent expressions, the body movement, like her, like you could read through Robert Jordan, like it's just her, she's physically uncomfortable sometimes, or she's confident, like she is very emotive physically. And I think that's very important for Aviendha, because she doesn't express herself through her words. She expresses herself through her physicality. And then obviously through her POV, but we're not going to have a running dialogue from her head.
Yeah.
And again, that's something that I think Rafe and the team has done really well, is translate all the POV perspectives into either dialogue or physical expressions of what's going on. And so not running monologue, because that's awful television.
Yeah, I think the expressiveness, or, in the silence, is something that she's shown that she can do, right? Like we showed that video. So I look forward to like scenes over at least, maybe going into season 3 between her and Rand. Like those, I feel like, I think it was, I bring this up now a couple of times. I think it was in Master of the Decks Watt Idol video that I hadn't ever keyed in on just how expressive Yosha Stradowski is as Rand. So the two of them, I'm looking forward to some really interesting scenes where I just go back and I look at their faces.
They don't even have to talk.
Yeah, exactly. Like I
Right.
feel like that's going to be an interesting. So I definitely think she's coming in with that strength and can take on that pretty easily. The physicality of Aviendha. Do you think that she's bringing the capabilities of bringing Aviendha's physicality to life?
I see a lot of potential there. I don't think we got like. Maybe in what we've been able to see, we didn't see the full breadth of her abilities there, but I think we saw the glimmers of potential. Like you said, the video from Romeo and Juliet is like, I think it's 2018. I think it's 5 years old. But so I know that I'm sure there's a lot of growth, and clearly, obviously, the show thinks that she's capable of that. Otherwise, they wouldn't have cast her in such a physical role. The only other thing I wanted to comment on is when you're we've talked about this a lot with the the episode 7 cold open with Tigraine, and how she was fighting and she pulls her mask down and people are like, oh no, she's fighting without her mask, that's a big deal. But like it seems like they're kind of like they're playing into the veiledness, right? They've got all in at least that Q&A teaser, they were veiled, and you saw these, like the intensity of their eyes, and being able to express with just this part of your face is a lot harder without having all of the rest of your face to add to that. So I think we've seen from that little audition video that you showed, just all the kind of like intricacies that they can really like nerd out on. If the cinematographers really want to like zoom in on facial features, like we can get a lot of good stuff just from her eyeballs. I'm excited to see that.
That's
Love eyeballs.
That's such an Ayula thing to say. Like, I can't wait for her to impress me with her eyeballs.
It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen.
That's so good.
Get it, you Wetlander, you're starting.
Yeah, you're
Look,
getting it.
I accept that was a very Wetlander thing to say, but it was like awesome. I like that. Yes, that's that. You're right, Roof Mistress, about the idea of just saying range. It's covering a lot of things. That is where one of the ones where I go from a challenge perspective. We haven't seen a ton of physicality in the roles, so this was probably going to be. I would not be surprised if afterwards, when she's talking about this, she's like, "Yeah, I had to really, like this was a new." Yeah. I mean, maybe I just haven't and we haven't seen all of the things that she's ever done. So,
It's also what Hollywood is good at is doing those boot camps to get you ready for, and that's what I was trying to get at with the training montages of, again, I was very focused on like the women warrior movies. So Wonder Woman, Woman King, like they did all their workouts together. They did all their training together. And it was just like in my head, that's kind of my head canon of like what the Minions of the Sphere are going to do. Like they're all going to do the workouts together and they're going to do the training together so that they can get synchronized and understand what Ayula, like Fardaris, my combat looks like. And then eventually Ayula will move forward to so she'll do that little bit with Fardaris Mai, then she'll move to the Wise Ones, and it's not combat, but it's a different type of hand style. So we've heard from some of the actors that the actresses who have done the White Tower and how they all learned to coordinate, and it was all like they were very synchronized, and we haven't seen training montages of them doing this, but just how they all learned to synchronize together. And again, more behind the scenes, Amazon, we want these things. So,
for sure.
Like not just the actors saying it, like we'd love to see, them practicing the hand motions, and I'm sure the Wise Ones are going to have their own version of that. So how the Wise Ones, the actresses who portray, Amis, Bain, all of those, not Bain.
Fire.
Yeah. Yes.
Totally. Yeah.
Yes, the other B word. So all those people just coming together and learning who the Ayula are.
What I'm hearing is you guys are really begging for training montages now. Like, give us a training montage.
Yes, please. Desperate.
The fans among us that love the Ayula need training montages. Stat, everyone. So
training montages from the other things. Like if the warders have a shirtless montage.
Sure. Yeah,
One particular warder.
I've never heard anyone complain about that. Well, maybe there's been like
super hot.
Maybe there's a couple complaints out there, but very few. I'm going to end this poll. About 90 of you voted on this question. I'm really impressed because I typically assume that there's somebody watching here that's just like, I'm not convinced. I think this is the worst casting in the world. This is anonymous voting, so I'm always assuming one person's going to. But from what I can tell, no one picked not confident to this answer of this poll. And I said, now that you've listened to us, how confident are you that Ayula will be able to embody Aviendha? Of the almost 90 of you that voted, basically, most of you are very confident or somewhat confident. There are a couple of you, which makes sense. I totally accept the I'll wait to watch and find out. That's what I said about season 1, which was all the stuff we'd be told about it. I just wanted to see it and then judge it by its merits. Same kind of thing. And that's what hopefully you've enjoyed tonight, everyone that you've watched. I've appreciated comments in chat for people saying this was a lot of fun. These episodes you can ask my guests here. They take a lot of work. There's a lot of time invested in watching these actors and not just like frivolously, like watching for like, what is it about this? Do I like this? Do I not like this? What's going well here or not? So yeah, it seems like most of us are pretty confident at this point that Ayula is going to do a great job of embodying Aviendha. No pressure, Ayula out there, if you ever hear this. No pressure at all that a bunch of hardcore fan freaks on a Wednesday night that are sitting here talking about you and the role you're about to play in a series that they have loved for, in cases, multiple decades and have talked about for multiple decades. No pressure at all. And the good thing is you've already filmed it. If you're out there, you've already filmed season 2. So whatever it is, it's going to be what it is. I've really appreciated all of you being here. This has been a lot of fun. I thank you for doing all this work. I always feel bad. I'm like, hey, do you want to come on my show? And then do hours and hours of work and then you have to follow this really prescribed, like you can't talk about certain things at certain times. And it's very...
In our defense, you didn't warn us about that until we got
I
here.
did not. It's not something... Well, I mean, I gave you a little bit of hint. Then I did kind of come down today and was like, really, don't talk about it. Like I'm going to cut you off. Don't do it. So
Hey, boy, I think we did really well. Like
you did.
Mm-hmm.
You did. I mean, it's hard. Again, it's like that first time you jump in and start talking about it, the natural thing is to say, just like this person, yeah. That's just typical. But it's fun. I hope for those of you that are in chat, you've enjoyed this. Any final thoughts that you want to share with our audience about Ayula that haven't been brought up, or Aviendha, or Ayula becoming Aviendha, while I look for the giveaway, because Taylor's not here. Taylor has a life. So yeah, go ahead and talk while I do some searching.
I have a PSA that I do every time we talk about the Aiel.
Okay.
And for those who are regular watchers of our show, they know I'm from the Canadian part of the Threefold Land.
Okay.
And often we hear about the igloo scene. And one mistake I am hoping the show corrects is that what Aviendha and Rand build is not an igloo. It is called a quincy. It is made of blocks of ice. Quincy is a shelter that is hollowed out from a snowbank. And this is a very thing that's driven me nuts, because Robert Jordan went back and corrected about the tuning of the damn harp. Couldn't get the snow shelter right. And so this is what I hope Ayula, if you hear me, you guys bang in a quincy, not an igloo.
I just want to point out something. I want to point out something to you, One Shelly. Is that screw and in an igloo, if it's screw in a quincy, that does not rhyme and therefore would not make a good What Idol parody. Is all I'm saying. So screw in an igloo makes... Sorry, that was a...
But it's not an igloo.
I know.
I'm sure we can come up with something that rhymes with
what
quincy.
are you going to get?
I'm sure chat in 30 seconds.
Frisky.
Yeah, chat will come up with something, I'm sure.
Thank you for sharing that. By the way, while you were sharing that, a very important public service announcement, I could not find where this thing's at. Look, there's a lot to prep for this show, and I'm going to give myself a little bit of credit here. The next time I come back, we'll do 2 giveaways. So for anyone that was waiting for a giveaway tonight, come back in 2 weeks and we'll do 2. And what will happen is my co-host on us will next week be like, I am ready to do a mug giveaway. So when you show up when I host, don't worry, unlike the innkeeper hatch. That is definitely going to happen next week. So, but yes, I don't know. Taylor didn't set me up for that. And unfortunately,
saying it that way.
I've come to rely on Taylor, is all I'm saying. And
Honest just said, let me help you.
Oh, okay. Yes. Honest, that's awesome. If you can help me, that would be fantastic.
He says he's ready.
Okay. So apparently, thank you very much. Let's do this thing. Hopefully Innkeeper Honest can go and start a giveaway. I'm apparently not going to do anything here, but I've found my new Taylor, apparently. that's.
I'm apparently also supposed to plug at some point, so let me know when I'm supposed to do
Oh,
that.
okay. Yes. Well, we're waiting to see quietly. We're just going to really be silent for a moment to see if this thing ever works and shows up in chat. I haven't seen anything yet, but I have a lot of faith in my fellow innkeeper. Just everyone be quiet, really
The
quick.
suspense is killing me.
Yeah. Everyone just stare at their chat on the screen or in your local. There's no pressure. Give me a minute. Okay. Okay. We'll give him a minute. That was a lot of pressure to put on him. We'll give him a minute. So yes, Wise One Shelly, please plug away.
All right, so if you've enjoyed some of what you've seen here tonight, we have a show every Thursday called Threefold Talk, where it is two maidens, a roof mistress, a wise one, and a token wetlander. It's a cultural exchange where we just basically love on each other and we play games and we talk about Wheel of Time themed things. Sometimes we'll do show stuff, sometimes we'll do book stuff. We try to have guests on. And one of the highlights of our show is just how much we have amazing fans who are nicknamed Foldies. And they show up, they are brilliant in the chat, and we love them dearly. And I hear there's some sort of special show tomorrow night that may or may not. I don't know how much we're telling, but it's a special show tomorrow night.
Okay.
Yes, you won't want to miss this.
Not at all. Melchior Talks is in the chat. He can tell you how much special we're allowed to share, but we are on all the regular socials. We're on Twitter, Discord, YouTube. Like, that's an important one to mention. So yeah, if you we go from super serious to super loving and super funny and super crass sometimes. So please don't watch with your children.
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go.
We are not child friendly.
We are not safe for wetlanders.
Yes.
Full spoilers. Mostly full.
And mostly full spoilers.
I'm trying to find like is there a good one that like has if I look back on the videos here, a good threefold talk. Anyway, I will.
They're all good. What are you talking about?
What are you talking about? They're all excellent.
Look, that was a little bit of a faux pas. Wow, I was.
I always like the flower episode because that was Bain and Chiad at her deadpanest.
Oh, it's the best.
Nice.
It's so good.
The bridal wreath, yeah.
That's my favorite one to show people who've never seen the show.
Of course, they're all good, everyone. I should have said, is there one you would like me to highlight? There we go. Anyway, you've seen this. I will put this on the display. Yes, Melchior Talks, everyone. Go check out Melchior Talks channel, and that's where it happens, right? Doesn't Threefold Talk happen at the Melchior Talk channel? That's correct. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, I
And
swear that's where I go. Yeah.
One of our constant segments is the Daily Veil. So we do the latest news that has happened within the community. So if Amazon tells us things, we'll do it. We definitely take a lot of material from the What series folks, from their investigations. We also highlight stuff that's happening in Twitter and just within the community as well. So we love our artists. We love the content creators. So
Excellent. Please go check out, if I don't have that in the description, which I don't think I do. So it will be in the description after this. I will add that to the video. Please go check out Threefold Talk. You've obviously realized that these are very smart Ayil, that you have a lot to learn from, and they're ready to culture you and culture you in ways that you just didn't realize that you were lacking. And you can find that at Threefold Talk on Melchior Talks channel. So please go check it out. I haven't looked at chat. I'm looking now. Has anyone seen a note from my fellow innkeeper? Still in the process? Okay. Still working on that. So I'll give him a moment to let us know that he heard us, and to post there if he'd like us to still wait for the giveaway or say goodnight. We can. Yes.
I have something we can do while we're waiting.
Okay, let's hear it.
Would you guys all like to learn the hand talk?
Yes.
Yeah, we learned in the Q&A.
Okay, let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do some hand talk.
I'm
I like
gonna have to get taller. So, the hand talk for Jordan Con, you start with your right hand in like a pew pew gun shape, right?
Okay.
You go
pew gun shape. Okay.
You go across your body and touch your chest here.
So wait, does it start like this?
No, just from down below.
Hold on a second.
Just across your body.
Okay, so it just starts.
Should I do the opposite? I'll do the opposite. Does that help?
I'm trying. Yes.
If I go that way?
There we go. Yes.
Okay, I'm
maybe
doing
that
it the
helps.
opposite.
Okay.
And then you take your index finger and go in a circle.
Okay. From the
then
pew pew to
grab and pull down.
Okay.
So
And that is.
This is Jordan Con.
Okay. This is okay. There we go.
Yeah.
Everyone out there.
One more time.
This is hard to see. Like we have like our hands are all going off the side of the screen.
This way.
Can somebody just pretend this is their body, and they're just going like this, and then they're going like this, and then they're doing this.
It's good. Okay. You're a wetlander, so you know it's going to take a little longer.
Yes,
understand.
it will. It will. Do you have have you done like training officially and posted on the internet, or are you?
No, I just learned it. I actually learned it so that I could like subtly sign it during the show, and I kept doing it. But...
Oh my gosh, that was just enough time. My fellow innkeeper,
raffle's going.
Yep. You got the raffle going.
Yay.
That is extremely impressive.
Hey, hello, everybody. Good job.
Look at that. That is technology and smarts and.
Are guests allowed to enter the raffle?
Yeah. Can we
yes.
exclamation point raffle?
I wonder if I can. Hold on a second. Because Innkeeper, I want to win one of these times.
Yeah,
so.
I heard he actually sends people mugs instead of
I've heard that too.
Not mugs.
Yes.
I've heard that too.
Yes. Some of us have issues with our Zazzle accounts. Some of us don't. So,
okay.
Some of us believe in flexibility. Some of us don't.
Hey, I'm happy with
big fan of flexibility.
One time on the show, I drink out of that all the time.
So this is awesome. Now I will never set one up. This will just be like, Innkeeper's out there. If Innkeeper on us is here, then we're going to do one.
You have to.
He just said he got out of bed to do this.
Oh my gosh, he did? Well, good for him and for all of you.
Also, you have toe. The toe.
Yes, probably. I would imagine I do. So I love that this all worked. So thank you, Innkeeper.
You were the one that won the water challenge. So I'm wondering how you've started to get so much toe.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. How did none of you say, let's show this epic final moment when I won?
Did you make Taylor clip that? That's so mean.
No, it's got to be. It's in that video, right? It's Does anyone have a link for me while we?
Maybe Rob could find it.
Yeah,
it's
Rob.
Last year's Jordan Con.
Rob, you need to find that for us and send it to me as a DM on Twitter. That's what needs to happen. I'm gonna try it. 7 months. They're 9 months ago. It's got to be here shortly.
It should be 12 months ago. I don't know if you can do math, but in the threefold land.
Hey,
Rob says 1 second. I think he's probably on it.
Okay.
Yeah, good man.
Good, excellent.
Rob, you know what? Rob is the G10 wetlander.
I do see. I don't see I do see the ones from last year. But none with like mine and Taylor's face on it, so I don't know the thumbnail.
It's the one that says Jordan Con 2022.
This is live from Jordan Con, but were there multiple, or is it just the one?
It's just the one.
Okay. Okay, so
we didn't do 15 live shows at Jordan Con like some people.
Yeah.
Okay, I see myself. Oh wow, that was ridiculous.
It took a long time.
Yeah.
It did.
Well, for those of you who don't know what we're talking about, last year we had Matt and Taylor on our live stream at Jordan.
For those of you who can't see, there's a good bubble going on.
Yeah, there's a good bubble on this right now, folks.
You can stop right now, Taylor. We can move on to the next question. Here, I'll turn it down a little bit so you can chat here. There you go.
Literally just started pouring water into a cup, and the person who causes the water to spill over loses. Sounds simple, but as wise one Shelly will tell you, physics is complicated. And it is
and cool.
And yeah, so like the cup gets this massive, if you look at really close, massive bubble. So
if you see
physics of it.
How long did we do this? It was like
15 minutes or something ridiculous.
Taylor got down on the ground here. Look at there's another minute and a half here. How did we
Still going.
Wait, it's still going like another couple minutes later.
Yeah.
It's like tense.
Anna says 22:20 timestamp. I don't know if that's when you won or what, but
Taylor's taking forever to this is it.
And we had taken a poll ahead of time.
Oh my gosh.
In the crowd, who they thought would win, and it was close, but it was more Taylor versus Matt.
Yes.
Yeah, that was very ageist of the people being polled, I think. This might be the moment.
I
This
think
might be-
people just wanted you to lose.
Oh my gosh. Oh, it did. Yes, there it was. There it was,
Everybody's
everybody. I actually thought he had it at first. Like it dropped in there and nothing happened, and then it dropped. So
It poured out.
Yeah.
okay. So you just watched my epic 15-20 minute long whatever win of the water drop moment, but Taylor was so serious about that. That was like intense. By the way, okay.
Here, when you were trying to explain to Brett and Gus, you spilled some water.
I did, and I was showing them exactly what not to do.
What not to
I
do.
was teaching.
Ah,
I was
that's
teaching
good.
them.
That's good.
I was teaching
Teachable
them.
moment.
Yes. Innkeeper, why don't you pick a winner and let's let these wonderful people go home. Good luck for everyone that that has entered. Look, I think we're on the same wavelength there. I think he did that before he even heard me say that. So here we go. Good luck to everyone. Maybe you'll win just like I won the water challenge, right? Maybe you'll win a mug tonight. Here we go. We're all waiting. It's like a 20-second delay. So Asham Azza has won a Dusty Wheel mug. Congratulations. And you are the winner. I keep on not winning. I don't win my own polls. I know.
You can buy your own.
Yes, I know.
Well,
I
get it
could.
for free because it's yours.
I could. You're right. Thank you very much, Innkeeper out there. Get back to bed. Thank you for getting out of bed to do that. And yes, congratulations. And just reach out and we will make that gift certificate or mug happen. That's just how this works out sometimes. It's a long story. We don't need to go into it right now. Thank you to the four of you and Rob, even though he's in chat right now, not on screen with us. Looking forward to whatever tomorrow is. Something's happening. I'm really curious. And yes, thank you all for joining us for this 2-hour long celebration of some of our favorite characters, and now hopefully one of our favorite actors embodying that character in season 2. Looking forward to seeing how that goes. Ayula, good luck out there. If you ever hear this, we enjoyed the work you've done, and so we hope that you stepped up to this challenge and just kept doing what you were doing before. Looking forward to seeing how season 2 comes out whenever it does, along with the training montages. So that being said, thank you, everyone. As we say around here, good night from the Dusty Wheel, and smash to black.
Welcome to the Dusty Wheel.
Hey, welcome back to the Dusty Wheel. You went right to kill it. Look at you. You're already. You're just done. I mean, this is like this is
really well. And now I'm like, great, my turn.
And if you don't like that, and you want to say, well, Robert Jordan could have made the two rivers all white. He could have, but he didn't. So
Just complimented me on my dress, and as you can clearly see, I'm
sad.
not
I see Lucomi as something along the lines of a Shida Haran analog.
It does make sense why it outlasted the breaking.
Yeah.
See, this is why I have Therese in the show, because she's going to correct everything that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Dusty Wheel Show. What? Meme Off Challenge. Yay!
Pair of like baby face mounted on like a huge body. So like all
This
of
is
a
not
sudden,
just
it's like,
a traditional fantasy, right? There are sci-fi
And
elements.
just a
for
moment
those that are
ago,
kind of
Rafe tweeted something. So let me get my guest in here with me. And
probably, I would say, put in 70-80% of the work. I got to be over the shoulder and be like, no,